Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're here at the Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex to talk about a bold idea to make an impact here that will directly improve the lives of families in St. Louis County and change the direction of youth soccer for decades to come. So to all the parents who cheer from the sidelines, who drive carpool, who make sure the uniforms are clean and ready to go, this message is for you. Back in 1990, St. Louis County voters passed a hotel-motel sales tax that provided funds to support the convention center and tourism in the St. Louis region. And last year in Jefferson City, the legislature passed a bill to change the way the Dome and American Center is governed, but also change the way the tourism tax is distributed. And as a result, St. Louis County is expected to get a one-time payment of $66 million. Although the law was changed in how the funds were distributed, the law does not change on the use of those funds. They're still restricted to the convention center and to regional tourism. And I can't think of a better way to promote tourism in the St. Louis region than to make an investment in youth sports. We're just coming off the World Cup, and that took the country by storm, of course, but we're also seeing that support for soccer continues to grow in our country and in our community. This is a great opportunity to build on that excitement and build on the enormous trends that we're seeing across the nation. Today we're joined by boys and girls who are participating in the Missouri Youth Soccer Olympic Program. We have a summer camp here at Creve Coeur Park. The Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex is already a driver of tourism in our community. We have dozens of tournaments across the year, bringing families and kids from 13 states into our region to stay at our hotels, to eat at our restaurants, and to enjoy some of the amenities that make St. Louis a great place to live and to raise a family. The current tournaments that we host bring $1 million to $2 million each tournament into an economic impact in our region. And now I'm proposing using $6.8 million of these designated tourism funds to make improvements here in the Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex to increase from 13 to 16 turf fields. I'm also asking for $8 million to build a new administrative building that will be the cornerstone of the Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex for years to come. Currently, our staff are working out of a construction trailer. That is our second trailer because the first one was blown to bits in the tornado last year. And the temporary setup underscores the urgency of our needs here in the complex. We need a functional home for our staff and our community. The building will also provide employees protections from inclement weather, from rain, from sleet, from the heat. Also, we'll give a locker room for the kids and for referees, and there'll be a classroom to allow for coaching training, for referee training, for community groups and summer camps. This proposal isn't just about expanding fields and facilities in the Creve Coeur Soccer Complex. It's about investing in our children. So by adding 3 new turf fields, we're giving St. Louis County kids more places to play, more places to compete, and more places to belong. The money would also allow upgrading of the natural lights, of the lights at the natural grass pitch, more ADA parking, just to make the facility an overall better experience for visitors. It will also give us an opportunity to add a press box, which is a real competitive advantage. Currently, Kansas City has a press box at their soccer complex, and we do not. That gives them an advantage in attracting the bigger tournaments. With these additions, we'll be able to bring bigger tournaments to the region, more athletes will be able to come to visit, and more of our St. Louis County kids will have a place to play. Kansas City got ahead of us in the past few years by having better facilities. This is an opportunity for us to catch up. We're a soccer town. We're an MLS city now, in our community, we've seen generations of soccer talent. And our kids are ready to shine. But let's be honest. Youth sports is getting pricier. It's getting more difficult to get access, and families and kids are being left on the sidelines. And that's why I want to use some of these funds to make access to organized soccer more affordable. Imagine scholarships, lower fees, more accessible equipment. We want more young people to have access to soccer. It's not only a popular sport, but it's a way to build teamwork, to become disciplined, and to just experience all the benefits of competition. It's a great way to build friendships. We believe every child deserves a chance to play, regardless of their background, and these legacy funds dedicated towards tourism are just that. They will serve as our youth sports inheritance. Working with the Parks Department, we're looking at other ways to create a dynamic, a diverse, and accessible culture by building out youth sports in St. Louis County. We look forward to sharing our ideas, and we look forward to hearing from people in the community. We ask you to contact us and let us know what we could do to make youth sports more affordable and more accessible and to lower the cost. We want to get more kids out onto the pitch. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mike Hayes, also known as Soccer Mike, who is the manager of the Creve Park Soccer Complex, and I will let him say a few words.
Thank you, Dr. Page. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming out. I wanted to just follow on some of the comments Dr. Page made. I made some notes talked about some of the economic impact that the complex has, not only in bringing people to St. Louis to play, but they're also spending their time at restaurants and hotels. The addition of 3 fields and associated programming would enable our complex in our area to step out in front of other cities in the region that we compete with to deliver on our mission to be a soccer destination. It will complete our existing complex footprint and sustain our ability to deliver locally and regionally in a meaningful way. And when I speak about an example of the kind of traffic that we're seeing through these events growing year after year, we regularly see more than 1 million people a year that visit the complex. And May 30th to July 9th is a great example of that impact. Over the past 24 days, Creve Park Soccer Complex hosted regional and national events with more than 800 teams, 1,249 games, 14,000 plus U.S. youth soccer players coming to and staying in St. Louis County. And they came from 29 different states during that 24-day period of time. The states that were represented were far and near, or near and far, with teams from California, Hawaii, Washington, Texas, Colorado, New York, Florida, Mississippi, Minnesota, and it goes on. The largest impact of these events are significant, as Dr. Page mentioned, and that some of the largest youth events have provided an economic impact of more than $10 million plus for the largest of the events that we host. And as the game continues to grow, as evidenced by just a tremendous World Cup, more players play, and the need for fields and resources to host such events only increases as the events get bigger and bigger. As these guys will know, the season really never ends anymore. And lastly, I just want to touch on, that was kind of the regional and national, but what do the additional fields mean locally? That's something I'm excited about as well, because it would create a much needed opportunity for smaller clubs in our area to be able to play on quality fields and have a home with other soccer clubs. I take calls regularly from clubs expressing the need and the desire for field space to train and host their events and have access to quality fields. We don't have that right now, but we do have that space available. The other benefit is we're centrally located in the heart of St. Louis County with easy access from North County, South County, and West County. We're not only in a great place for our local area, but obviously we're in the heart of the country, which has kind of helped benefit us for people kind of meeting halfway to train and play. One other note to speak on the demand is the Slice a League That's the St. Louis Youth Soccer Association. They're the largest league in the area, and they have more than 10,000 games to be played annually. We call them local, but their footprint spreads out to teams that travel to St. Louis and the Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex to play throughout the year in their regular league games from Columbia, Missouri, Jefferson City, Cape Girardeau, Quincy, Illinois. Who's from Quincy here? How about that? Paducah, Kentucky, and Peoria, Illinois, just to name a few. And to end it, the building is touched upon. Will provide not just a structure, but a true home where all the activities and the games that go on the field can then be in a building where coaching education, referee education will be able to go on in a tangible way that will impact leaders of the game and young players' lives in the future. That's all I have to say, and I'd like to bring up Nick Duchel. Yeah.
Really, the English have a song of "It's Coming Home," and really, this is doing the same thing. Soccer in St. Louis has been here for decades. In 1950, a group of St. Louisans went down to Brazil and beat England 1-0 in the World Cup, and made a movie about it. It was great. St. Louis University has had an incredible run of national championships, things like that. We have continually built a foundation of soccer in St. Louis that culminates not only with St. Louis City, but the national championships these kids bring home, the amount of play that they play nationwide in some really quality events, playing a level of soccer that's just unmatched in a lot of places. So I'd like to thank everybody that continues to support soccer in St. Louis. You are continuing a tradition that came across in your fathers, your grandfathers, your great-grandfathers, from wherever they came from, back to St. Louis to keep playing this great game. So thanks all of you. Appreciate it.
Say your name and spell it.
Nick, N-I-K, Bushell, B-U-S-H-E-L-L.
Official title.
Executive Director of Missouri Youth Soccer Association.
Thank you.
Well, this is really an opportunity to show that we all care about our young people in St. Louis County. We know that our population growth over the past 3 decades has been stagnant. Some families see opportunities for their children elsewhere. We need to make St. Louis County the place where families see opportunity for their kids, and that's where we're going with this proposal. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
The proposal right now, what's next?
Well, we're going to talk about it. We get through this election cycle, and this will be a proposal that folks in the community will have to consider. And if they want to talk about it, then we will engage a conversation with county government, because that's where this will start. This will be appropriation from county government. These funds are restricted for tourism based on the taxing authority that was approved by the county voters in 1990, and they'll have to have a tourism purpose. This is the biggest investment of CVC funds. The tourism tax, biggest investment in St. Louis County historically has been the Creve Coeur Park Soccer Complex. This has already been a source for these funds to be used over the years. And what we're talking about is just expanding that footprint here in the county.
Realistically, can you give any version of a timeline if it were to get approved?
Well, the funds are available next month. So, putting out proposals, we have renderings of the building that you can see. So putting out an RFP for that would take about 6 months, and another year for a construction year. It's a relatively modest building, so a year for construction timeline.
So ballpark.
18 months. 18 months would be ideally. Building out the soccer field, I think, could be done more quickly, but that has to be an RFP as well. So it's probably on a similar timeline.
Is this an additional building or is this replacing this?
No, it's an additional building.
Where would it be placed?
I don't know. Mike?
Yeah, the building would be placed right behind you. There's an open grass space there. That area was originally the location, set out for the future administration programming building. The electric's roughed in and the water's been roughed in since the initial construction in 2018.
So we've been planning on this building for a while, and we had targeted tourism tax, the CVC funds, as a funding mechanism. The plumbing and electrical and all the utilities are already roughed in for it. Now we're 8 years later, and we have a revenue source.
I assume the tornado delayed this process a little bit too.
Well, the tornado didn't help, but it highlights the fact that we're in temporary facilities. We're in a temporary trailer, which is our second trailer. The first one wiped out a year ago.
How much is the new? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Are there other plans for the other remaining $16-ish million?
Well, we're looking at other ways to expand youth sports in St. Louis County, and we think youth sports for tourism is a great brand for us. We have the capacity here. What it does is it provides an economic driver, which really will fund the maintenance and development of these facilities, but it allows us to have great facilities for our kids to use during the week.
Mike, Nick, either of you on this World Cup just came by. How much of a boon have you seen from that in future registers?
I mean, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the 1994 World Cup, the first one in the United States, as a college intern with the World Cup organizing committee in Chicago. And that was a boon. It brought us, shortly afterward, the professional league at MLS. And the game is continuing to grow from that through being available much more easily on broadcasting and streaming outlets. This past World Cup was just as you see from the widespread coverage, the joy and passion, but illustrated by all the fan bases that travel to the United States. And it is front and center in the United States culture right now. And to answer your question short, yes, it mirrors what we're seeing at the complex with the seasons extending. The events that we have are now getting bigger and longer. For example, the one in June was a 9-day event. They used to be 3 days over the weekend, and now they're extending out. So the impact is massive.
Do you feel like this is completely needed to help with that draw? Not drawing in new tournaments, but like help.
So yes, it's a great question. It is absolutely needed from the standpoint of, for us, it's not even about growing. The investments that we're talking about today, with the amount of players playing and the amount of competition across the country for it, for a local and a regional need, is about sustaining. We've been fortunate to be very successful and have made an impact in the U.S. soccer landscape. But for us to stay relevant and continue to be competitive for bringing events to St. Louis for these kids to participate in, we have to sustain by this investment in order to grow as well.
This is an 11th of the funds that are available. And if you could tap into a little bit more of this, what would you hope to see come next?
Well, I mean, the main focus on the complex would be to focus on just filling out the existing vision that was there and that existing footprint. 3 additional fields would fill out the existing footprint that is available. The building will serve as a centerpiece of vibrant activity of training, video, referees, coaches, really sharing of the game, and also allow special events for the community. In addition, I mean, there's always things that are important to making the goal to be scaling up or making sure you're still relevant is to make sure the experience is better for our visitors. Shade structures, we talked about lights to the finish, that's just finishing out the grass field. So just some of the amenities around the complex to make sure that when someone comes here from Kansas City, from Mississippi, from Georgia, that they walk in and they say, hey, I had a great experience in St. Louis County. It was a beautiful complex on a beautiful lake, and I look forward to going back. That's a very progressive and modern parks department.